Hello, welcome to another beautiful episode of The Angles where hot topics are being discussed. My name is Mary Ibeji. Super glad again to be doing this with you. And so if you are just tuned in, you're right on time. So you have to tell someone right now to tell someone to tell another person that The Angles is here again for you. And of course, you know that we have interesting conversations every time we're on The Angles, and today is never going to fall short as we have something to really discuss between, company lifestyle and of course the personal life, and where to draw the line when it comes to professionalism and every other thing that plays in the life of an employee. A guy and a lady who found love at a place of work, Love is a beautiful thing. But there is something now which has caused a lot of people, it's caused a stir on social media, talking about the fact that the HR had to brief them to say that, okay, part of the company's policy is that they can have a married couple working in the same organization, and one of them have to sacrifice their job if they really want to stay married. As a matter of fact, they chose the person. I think they said the guy would stay, right, because his job is critical. Meanwhile, this lady had for months been looking for a job, and then she finally got this one. But it looks like the company would rather take the guy over the lady. And now, the conversation really is that what will happen to their relationship? I'm not sure they are married yet. I'm sure it's still a dilemma they're trying to process. What happened to this lady who just finally got a job? Do you think it is just pure professionalism and it has nothing to do with whether they are right or wrong? Or do you think it's control of these people's personal lives?
Well, I think it's both ways. First of all, because organizations bind themselves by policies by which they work, and they have the right to do so. Every organization, have their pros and cons, So making that kind of rule, I'm sure it didn't just spring out of nothing or nowhere. There must have been circumstances or situations that led to that. However, for me, there is always a point to draw the line, because where matters of the heart is concerned, it determines even the productivity that comes with the work, that the employees are involved with. So if someone finds love and they agree to go together, I think they must have thought about whether they want to continue to weather the storm in the same organization, or whether someone is going to step aside, like the organization is asking them. For me, I think it should be the personal prerogative of the two individuals involved, and not implicitly a decision that's made by management. Management, for me, on the other side, should rather be happy if you have a couple who work in your company. That means they are dedicated, and you have a team, that is committed to that work. Supposedly, that's how it's supposed to be.
So what do you think? You think it's professionalism or control?
I think it's control.
Okay.
Because, like I said, they have the right, but there should be a point where they can draw the line.
Matter of fact, here, there's an update to the story. She's actually sacked. So it's not like they are contemplating it. So I want to believe that it implies she's accepted that, no, I cannot leave my husband or my man because of this job. And now she's updating her CV. What manner of sacrifice, really? But let me hear from you, Gifty.
I can't wait, actually.
What do you think I'll go for?
I don't know.
Actually, for me, I think it's not control. It's professionalism, and every company has their policy. And we know that when you're enrolled in a company where you get hired, you would go through what they call orientation, where you're briefed on some of the pros and cons and the policies of the company. So every company has their policy and systems that are set in place. And if you are going to go into a relationship and it's going to lead to marriage from then, you should obviously have had it in mind that at some point, one person has to, step down. Like you said, the man's position was very critical. So it was just obvious that they had to let the lady go. So for me, I think it's professionalism and anyone, okay, I had a friend too that actually was in a similar situation and back in the US, and her fiance then was the owner of the company, and she was working and worked up onto managerial level. But as soon as we were going to get married, she had to resign to go to another company because it's a company policy that, you know, couples are not allowed to be in same space. Now, it's different if it's in a church where, you know, when you get married is an added advantage. It's a team. Both of you join hands together to push the vision, and you're partnering and sponsoring the gospel. But not in a workplace, because why? There'll be bias, there'll be judgmental bias. There'll be a lot of things that will not be set in place, or there might be some overlooking that, you know, when one thing is carried out over the other and not the other, it was not going to go well.
Are they the only one that will cause bias in a big organization?
Now, if they have to bend the rule for them, then another couple comes and then at the end of the day, the policies that are set in place, there is a shaking.
All right.
So, yeah.
The policies, there'll be a shaking.
Policy.
Manny, I want to hear from you. Do you think this is actually, it's unfair or it's an outdated company policy, especially in Nigeria?
Well, it depends on where you're standing from. He said he's professional. He said control. He said it's professionalism.
It's professional, yeah.
So it depends. So right now, the only person left now is the people involved in the subject matter. So automatically, so I see this fine girl, any one of the fine girls, and then, okay, we're working together and then we're having an affair, we're having a relationship, and then it's going to lead to marriage, and then one of us must go. The mere fact that the guy is in a situation where his position is critical, he has the power to negotiate. Do you understand what I mean? Right? I'll leave and let her stay. No, we need you. He has leverage to drive whatever he wants. Yes, in terms of companies, I see why they don't want couples working together, because if you go to the police station, you see several cases of where she was the accountant, he was the spender, and money was going places. It happens, you know. And that's even in case of married people. There are several people just having an affair in the organization and they drain the purse. But the idea right now is that not that happens to him in every case. But in this particular situation, the guy would have used his necessity or his critical position to negotiate for the girl. Unfortunately, the girl has been sacked, which is not good for her. She waited so long to get the job. She now got the job, fell in love, and now had to be sacked. She would have left, or the boy would have done what was needed to do. Look, I'll walk away, let the girl remain, or whatever. Or if you want me to stay, you have to up my salary so I can manage my wife. You know, I have responsibility. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it depends on how you look at it. But normally, people do these things to manage and get conformity in their organizations. Either you are with us or you are against us, more or less. But I think the guy have just done their thing and just stepped away. That's right.
Every company has why they set their policies in place for that kind
What's
of thing.
the rationale behind it?
Thank you for, because while you are talking, you know, my mind is just like boiling, like really. So because a human being, you know, is compartmentalized. You know, we have different parts. And I tell you that if one part is not functioning properly, you may not be able to deliver effectively on the other. So, you see, where the issue of relationship and having an affair, having a relationship, you know, that would lead to marriage is concerned. One of the things that I do not see clearly in this story is whether it was stated before they went into the relationship that this is company policy.
It doesn't have to be stated. It's part of company's policy.
It has to be stated, actually.
It has to be stated.
I mean, before, by management,
every employee would go through an orientation.
Sometimes they don't mention it. Some of these things are just lines. Yes.
Some of them, they're just, if it is not a written rule, there are some rules that are not written.
So you're trying to tell me that there are companies that allow couples to be in the same.
Definitely, there are.
Yes,
there are quite a lot.
Just like a lot don't allow. I can tell you that.
There are a lot that don't allow.
There are others
on both
that
sides,
allow.
actually.
Not allowed.
You know, when you think about the wholesomeness, you know, of your workforce, and you look at, and you see that the man, in this case, you know, is somebody that is productive, that brings value to the organization. It is the responsibility of the organization, since he considers that getting married to that partner he found in the organization is something that is important to him. For them to have come to the point where they agree that, okay, we'll carry on with this, despite knowing that there is a policy that means, like you said, the only thing that would have played out was that maybe two of them, that's the couple and the organization, come to a middle ground, which is use your negotiating power. But for me, I do not totally like the idea. I know that many companies do it. I know, for example, that financial institutions do it mostly in Nigeria, where they do not allow. There are others that do allow, but generally, financial institutions don't allow. I think it was for the reason that you mentioned earlier, so that there is no connivance, you know. But what happened to transferring one from one department to another where they do not have to collaborate?
What if there are some roles that are not transferable?
There are no roles that are not transferable.
Oh, there are roles that are not transferable.
You said critical position.
Yes.
So if the guy is in
engineering
is in charge here, he can't leave here.
Exactly.
But they can move her
to another department where he doesn't have to interact.
There will be another department.
The issue now is you can't have two of them
In the
because
same
of the
company.
fact that other people will start to toe the same line.
Exactly.
Man, I don't even know where you stand. What's your own?
I believe in love.
I don't, you believe